Welcome back to the Cosmic Adults. Another epic episode coming at you in your ear holes slash eyeballs on YouTube if you're watching.
I was waiting for some other hole, I think there, but
Your eye holes.
no, but I think that's good. That's a good introduction. And Cosmic Adults, Mercedes Ann, Ian Altsor, another one of these. And this time we don't have an interview guest, and it's again just the two of us. We had like two episodes with guests, and
Yeah, we had
jelly. We
Jackie
were
and we had
jelly. We were jelly. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
yeah, basically.
All the attention on somebody else. That we don't recommend that on Cosmic Adults.
Luckily they were very cool though.
Of
So
course, of course.
it's like we really love them a lot. Jackie's interview I thought was great. I thought the energy that came through with Jackie's was amazing. And then Pam just a wealth of knowledge. What a beautiful like leader in the community. She's such a yeah, she's amazing. As a reminder, she does have that book. She has a book that she's written through the cracks. So go ahead and order that if you haven't, because it's seriously an amazing book.
Yeah, guys, I was joking. To be honest, like we love having guests on our show.
Oh, I thought you were serious.
I was super serial,
Super serial.
but like we do love having guests on as much as possible. But
Yeah.
we like doing this, kind of our way, Cosmic Adults way as well. So we're doing our best to find the right balance here. And we have a pretty interesting topic today. Um,
Maybe for you. I'm just kidding.
yeah, for me, because we're going to talk. Let's start with the topic itself. It's prophecy. And there's obviously there are many ways you can interact with that word, with the meaning behind the word, and the reason. Let's say I was the initiator with this topic. The reason I picked this topic is because I'm reading Dune. But I could
Just talk about Dune some more.
I can't help myself because every episode I talk about Dune, but but not only about Dune, but the important part here with prophecy is we're living in, let's say, quite prophetic times, and we have, let's say, a lot of people, a lot of visionaries, a lot of prophets, a lot of psychics, people of all sorts and all sorts of time lines, and Nostradamus. What was the lady called? Um, Madam, no, Mother Sif. What is
Mother
it?
Shipton.
Mother Shipton. I almost had it.
Madam.
Stop it, Matt.
I
All of
was like,
these.
are we talking about I don't think we're talking about
Baba Vanga. There's a lot of prophets. And they all kind of prophesized some of the things that are happening right now, and maybe are the beginnings of what is to come as well. And I have to say, when originally first started to go or started this spiritual route or path, I went into a lot of, like, really deeply into prophecies. I just wanted to know about them, wanted to understand, and a lot of
That's
people.
so
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but at the beginning you went into
Yeah,
prophecies?
very beginning. It was very
Wow. Okay,
beginning,
okay.
and
Okay.
it was a weird part
Can
because
I can I ask why? What prompted that? Why?
I wanted to know the future. I wanted to know.
Really?
I just really wanted to know what was going on or what was going to happen in the future. That is
I never even thought about that for the longest time. Okay, go.
totally,
Sorry.
and I totally
Yeah.
understand it because what shifted in me, I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe it's like a year in or something. I'm literally grasping at straws here. I can't remember exactly, but it started to change. That I was like, okay, so prophecies are great, and maybe these things are going to happen. And yes, these people have prophesied a lot of things, and I must add, I was starting to I was starting to receive messages myself, and I was starting to get dreams myself, starting to see, kind of like what will happen the next day. Starting to see like my boss getting fired and the new one coming. Like these things started to happen, and
Hmm.
obviously bigger things as well. But like this is,
Like
I think,
deja vu and stuff too, or
deja
was
vu
it more?
too as well. Yeah, definitely that was added, and then obviously was doing that, reading those prophecies, and kind of like started putting pieces together. But something changed along the way of my kind of like initial like need or desire to go into these prophecies and see the future. I was like, okay, so but these are all in the future. Like, what is happening now, and how can I live a better life now? How can I help others? How can I help myself? How can I help my family, etc., etc.? These things started really becoming more almost important and prevalent. So I literally just almost forgot about ever reading about prophecies until maybe a few years ago. Obviously, I started, my own visions became stronger, and dreams became stronger, and then things started happening in real life, in our real society, and then you are like, huh, so this is happening now for reals. For reals is, and my mind was constantly in a state of like almost like shock. Almost like, I don't want to say trauma, but it's like a shocking state. It's like you're seeing it happen, but uh, is it the prophecy? Is it something else? Is it just coincidence?
Mhm.
The left brain goes into wanting to prove it wrong. Yeah,
Yes. And I want to say also, there's a little hint of why me? Why am I seeing this
definitely.
in that? Because it's like, are other people seeing it? And if they are, who are these people? Because I want to know who the hell they are so I could talk to them.
But I think it's an interesting phenomenon because it's like, it's happening, and it can happen literally with your own visions about yourself, or maybe you're having visions about your close ones, family members, maybe your work, career, whatever it is. And again, the same thing can also happen. It's like, aha, this is happening. I just saw this. It felt like a nice story. It felt like a magical. Made me feel good when I had the vision, when I had the dream, when I had the prophecy. But now, when it's happening, I'm like confused. Also, like, why is this happening? Again, like you said, why is this happening to me? Why am I seeing these things? Why are they showing this to me? And am I really sure that this is what I saw? All of these weird doubts start coming
Mhm.
in, and I don't have a full solution, but the only solution I have for this is like literally just to live it, to live through it, and just maybe be in a little bit of doubt, but also, yeah, this
I, I,
shit is
I, li-
happening for real.
I liked your thought about like wanting to prove it wrong.
That's the thing.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, some of the stuff is like, you don't want it to be true.
Mm-mm.
Not in your human mind. Like, in a higher perspective, long term, everything is going to be better in the future, but also, yikes.
Exactly. Because not all prophecies, I don't know if the audience or you have seen, but not all prophecies are like of sunshine and rainbows and unicorns coming, and there's like, oh, happy
Oh my
harmony.
God. I was literally thinking unicorn farts and you said unicorn.
Like unicorns roaming the streets of Earth. It's
Yeah.
right now we're not quite there yet, I would say, and it's if you like, let's say, if you're out there listening, and if you read prophecies or happen to read because of this, you will quite soon find out that a lot of these prophecies, a lot of these visions are, let's say they start off quite intensely and quite negatively because of that shift or transformation that has to come before, rainbow riding unicorns can come in.
Yeah. So what material did you read? Like what did you read books? Did you go online? Like what did you read?
There was a lot of stuff. I think mostly online. There was stuff happening, and there was also YouTube things and stuff like that. And I remember in Estonia we had a website that translated Russian prophets as well and visionaries, and there are a lot of those there. And we, Estonia, Russia, so interconnected, unfortunately, in a way. But I say unfortunately because of the regime that's there. Most of the
Hmm.
people, very amazing people there. But these were one of those places where it really got me hooked, and I was really intrigued about these things. And I even
Is
remember a
it?
documentary in English. It was like 2012 something. I watched that documentary that spoke about these things.
Isn't there Dolores Cannon? Does
Hmm.
she do like past life regression or
Exactly.
something? And she wrote something. Very,
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm talking about here,
Precisely.
obviously.
Precisely. But like she did because she did past life regressions, and she managed to contact. First, she managed to contact that. I think it was like the student of Nostradamus or something. Yeah, I think it was a student, and
Hmm.
then she managed to, through another person who was living at in the 80s and 90s. They did this, and they contacted Nostradamus directly, regressed them back, and you know
Wow.
read the books. Obviously, it was quite amazing books, I would say. Interesting, opens your mind up quite a lot. But like these are the again prophecies, same prophecies and similar prophecies in those books as well. And it's a similar feeling. But I have to say one thing about this actually. It is, I think, easier to accept your own prophecy, or the vision you are getting, in my mind or in experience, that you are getting, instead of, let's say, if you read it, or if David Icke, or these. I would say David Icke sometimes, to
Hmm.
me, it seems like a crazy person sometimes. But some things he says are pretty. I don't know if you've listened to him, but some things he says are quite okay as well, like empowering people and stuff like that.
Sometimes I feel like a crazy person, so I think it's okay that sometimes people are a little bit out there.
I can understand. But the point I'm making is like it's a little bit easier if you have the. Sometimes you have a vision, see a dream, but you also have a physical sensation. You have a feeling associated with it, and I think
Hmm.
it's much easier then to kind of um, almost prove your mind or left brain of the validity of the information, or the validity of the vision you're seeing and feeling, then if you maybe watch a video or a YouTube video, or I've shared a couple of visions on my YouTube channel, and I think in here, and you've shared stuff, and sometimes when another person shares it, it feels kind of foreign as well, strange, weird, whatever. And even if it starts happening, you're like, it's something else. It's very easy to disregard, or
Hmm.
put it aside.
And I kind of feel like it's that for me, it's that same feeling of like, well, why would this come through me?
Mm.
Like, what? Why am I having this dream or this vision or whatever? It's like, and then connecting in with all the other people that are having the same thing. And then you're like, oh, oh.
I think that's the wildest part of let's say the visions, because let's say you start having one, let's say again, which is, let's say, a bigger one, which is maybe about society or human or something bigger happening in the future, and then maybe decide to share it, and then people write to you or contact you, or communicate with you. It's like, I had the same thing. Very close to what I had. And that really starts messing with you, and it's like, aha, we must be connecting to something similar, or connecting to the human consciousness
Hmm.
sphere. Let's put it that way. Or I don't know if it's a sphere. It's more like a network, I would say, in my mind.
A matrix.
A matrix, or like, this is what it is. Like an
An
interconnected,
entanglement? No, I like a
like something
matrix because it's
matrix,
like I feel like a matrix is like a
like a field, like a
a
field. I would say
field,
field,
the field.
energy
Yes.
field, or a human
Yeah.
consciousness field. Maybe is the right word here.
So, oh, I lost my question.
That's okay.
Dang.
And like, I think the point I'm making with this is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay,
On
I'll
it, it
finish.
was on acceptance. Like I want
Okay.
to, because I think what you're saying is like it makes it easier to accept when you've read it, and then you can throw it away, and then when it starts happening, you can be like, oh crap, actually, maybe that's not something to throw away, because it reminds me of people who are like, oh, I'm so empathic, I can't go to the grocery store. It's like, well, you kind of have to go to the grocery store. So why don't you sort of like, learn a bit more about why you're empathic or how to navigate that because you have to live in the real world and that reality. So it's almost like learning these things, you can take it or leave it. But then once that reality shows up, then and you're prepared.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's I think it's almost like the best way of looking at any vision, astrology, psychic, intuitive vision, seeing, whatever we want to call it. Like it's something for you to be prepared with, not to get stuck in or
Mhm.
addicted to
Be afraid of
or be
like
afraid of.
fear, I think, is like so many people just don't go into fear. My question lately has been what, who would I be if I had no fear? What would I be like if I had no fear? It's really opening up a lot of cracks in the mind.
But I think I have a, let's say, opposite view of that. Actually, I think maybe that's a good one because for me it's like you will always have fear. This is I know a lot of people want to eradicate fear, but for me it's not, let's say, that the job for us isn't to eradicate fear at all, because
Hmm.
fear is part of the human experience, at least for now, at least for now.
I think
And
eventually it'll be like it'll just the low end of the spectrum just rises up a little bit.
but I think that can be, and I'm not yet debating that. I'm not sure, but I think there's a potential for that to happen. But what can lead us there is literally accepting that I'm afraid. I think I literally, or one person who was, I think he was like a martial artist or something, and
Mm,
there was a lot of talk around, also around, let's say, I should, men should not fear, let's put it, or should experience fear. And I think he put it beautifully in a way of saying, every time I stepped into that ring, I was afraid, and that's
mm,
normal. I'm That's normal, but I did it anyway.
mhm,
That's the battle you're actually in. It doesn't have to be a martial arts competition, but maybe it's the grocery store that terrifies you. You are afraid
mm,
because I'm an empath. I have a fear of going into the grocery store because I will pick up energies. I will pick up, into it, whatever it is that you pick up, the dark things. Now I have a fear. I build a fear up, but you said I have to build the skills. If I build the skills, the fear is less. But I still go there, and I'm afraid. But I know how to manage my fear, and I know how to manage my skills and the scenery and the people and etc. etc. I'm still afraid, and that's okay. But I do it anyway.
mhm.
And that, I think, has the potential for us to, if you do that enough, in the end, I think, as humans grow, maybe it will eradicate at least some fear. I think the verdict
Well,
is out on that one still.
yeah, but I mean, and if you like have you watched the movie Revolver ever?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of where that brings me, that thought, because it's like the truth or your answer is always going to be behind that fear. The fear is like motivator to have you look at it because it's so strong, I feel like of all the emotions, is it an emotion? Do you think fear is an emotion?
Yes. Yes.
I
But
don't know. I've never like put it in a box before like that of
uh,
it being an emotion.
I think it is. I think it definitely is. And you know, it wants to keep you safe. I think that's one of the reasons, let's say, why we've developed it or why it's there in the first place. But like, it wasn't meant to be suppressed. It wasn't meant to be, in my mind, eradicated. It's meant to be used. Because there's good things
Right.
in fear as
And
well.
worked with.
And work with, because let's take one quite an extreme example, but I think it will um, push the point. Let's say you're on a vacation and you are in Africa. The point is to go to a safari. You go to a safari where there are wild animals. I don't have any fear. I step out of the car, I get eaten by lions, which has happened. Literally has happened. Now, the fear inside the car should be the thing that is saying, like, hey, maybe, stay in the car.
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not open the car and keep it locked and fucking keep moving, man. Keep moving. Watch the
There's
lions. But
freaking lions out there, man.
that's the way to use, fear. But like, the other way is like, okay, so I need to go to the grocery store. I'm afraid. Now I won't go to the grocery store and I will
Mhm.
starve. That's another situation where you need
Well,
to navigate and
and
work with it.
your brain doesn't differentiate between the lion and the grocery store. It doesn't
Mhm.
know that there's a difference there. It's just the fear. So like in my practice, like in the real world that I exist in, I literally talk about this with every single person because I'm working with the body at this point. Like, I mean, obviously, I have my energy work practice, which is what I'm growing into, but I still have this physical world reality practice. And I'm sounding like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. It's fascinating. But I'm constantly letting everyone know your body doesn't heal unless you're out of fight or flight. So you have to have practices and find ways to not be running from a tiger all the time. And this is, I think, working with that fear, working with, is this like, and this is something, Ian, this is going to come in, even though I don't want it to. It's like it has to come in. This abandonment. So I've been working through abandonment wound stuff, and it sucks. I gotta say, it sucks. But one of the questions that I always ask myself is like, is this a legitimate danger? Like, is this a legitimate reason for me to think that I am unwanted, unloved, whatever, legitimately? So we could be asking ourselves this about going to the grocery store. Is there a legitimate reason why I shouldn't go? Like logically, does that make sense? Because then we're not actually like being ruled by our emotions anymore. And it's like we can come out of fight or flight, work with that fear, and then legitimately, from a more logical, neutral perspective, go, okay, I can go to the grocery store.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way of navigating, and I must add one thing maybe to it is like one question I really love also is what am I actually afraid of? Because
Mm.
like
What's the
truthfully,
deeper fear?
what's the deeper fear? Because usually the upper fear is it's
The
like
grocery store?
yeah, all the energies, okay, but what
Yeah.
will happen if the energies get you, or whatever it is that you're worried about? What does it mean to you? That starts
Mm.
revealing things. That starts like opens up another layer, and you can start. Most often it will come to a place of afraid of losing love, afraid of not getting love, or survival. These are very often the way, the places where it will get to. Very similar.
Survival.
Very
Survival.
serial.
Super serial. So then prophecy and fear around prophecy could potentially just be survival fears.
I think a lot of it is, uh, it is, and it's so ingrained. But if you solve, like the thing behind it is like the fear of death is very often behind it. It's like I want to survive because I don't want to die because I'm afraid again something will happen to me. I will be lost. I will be, there's no body. There's no. I
Well,
will, you know,
that's the unknown.
there's an unknown, and that
So
people don't like that.
how can we turn the unknown into something exciting or something not scary?
Accepting it constantly.
Accepting the unknown, like just in its entirety.
Basically, you have to be okay with it being not okay, the unknown, because the unknown
Surrender.
you don't know what will happen. You might
Hmm.
die, you might get rich, you might lose everything, whatever, you don't know what's going to happen. That is the not knowing is the thing that is scaring the people.
Mm.
But if you manage to surrender at least a little bit, it starts opening up. It's almost like, what will happen if the unknown will come? What will happen if I don't know? Make sense? Because if I don't know, what does it mean to me? Because there's a hidden meaning behind that unknown, actually, which is usually the fear of death. In the end, I'm afraid I will die, or we will lose everything. A lot of the things, because there's an economic turmoil. A lot of people don't know is going to happen. We will lose everything. But okay, so
Hmm.
if you lose everything, what does that mean? Okay, so we won't have a place to stay, or people will laugh at us. That starts to unravel. But what does it mean if people laugh at us? Oh, so it means they won't love us. They will judge
Hmm.
us, and still again
Yeah. And
love.
this is where, on a neuro level, these fears and these things are wired all together in your brain in this
It's like a
one
field.
thing means the other.
This is our like.
Oh, but one of them leads to the other one and leads to the other one and leads to the other one. And you don't even know that you're constantly traveling this path with every little thing, right? Like every little, oh no, I can't go to the grocery store. I can't drive my car. I can't blah 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 blah. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It always leads down this same path over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And until you actually unravel and unlock and actually look at what that real, actual deep thing is, you're going to be trapped in that like loop.
Yeah,
And I think accepting that you're trapped in a loop is okay to do.
I think it's the first step, because then you can start stepping out of it.
Yeah. Who wants to be in a loop?
Loop troop.
The loop troop.
I think it was a hip hop group in
At
when
a
I was young.
at a point, do you think it becomes an addiction to these emotions, like following that path all the time, following that path all the time? I'm unwanted, I'm unwanted, I'm unwanted, I'm ashamed, I'm ashamed, I'm ashamed. Like this is a loop. And
What
when I think that thought, then I get this feeling and I'm addicted to this feeling, this suffering.
when you're getting something out of it.
Yeah. Like an
When
addict
that addict wants to get something out of it, and if you're getting something out of it, like safety, for example,
or
you get.
safety in
Yeah,
quotation marks.
in quotation marks, definitely in quotation marks in this case. Then, because it makes you feel good for a second, you use that loop. That loop can be anything. That can be a cheeseburger. That can be a shopping spree. That can be people make babies, unfortunately, as well as an addiction. That's wild, but it happens because it makes them feel safe. Because you know why? Because they don't have to be alone. And
Mm.
there's always somebody there to love them and be with them. And that's a freak. Yeah, total quote. You can put double quotes. But that's wild. You know, if you think about that, that's wild. That's a wild
Mm.
reason for having a lot of babies. That's a,
It's not logical.
it's such a big fear that is causing a person to do that. It is. It is not logical at all, in a way.
So I almost feel like, and like this is not necessarily my knowledge, but coming from higher is like it's almost like a computer virus. Like it's like a virus in your computer that you have to like remove. When I look at it as energy, like we can talk about it all day and you can have it as thoughts. But when we look at it as energy, what it looks like is something not light. And I think ultimately, don't we all want to be light? Isn't that the whole point of this thing, this that we're doing, hanging around on this planet? Says the eternal optimist.
Eternal optimist. I think that's like for me it's I think it's a little bit easier for me. Like the end goal for me is
Also,
it's just to live it. It's literally just to live it. If it's light, it's light. If it's hard, it's hard. If it's pain, it's pain. You know.
mhm,
And
mhm.
because if I get too attached to it all having to be light, then I'm again in that same. I'm stepping into that same because I don't want to feel pain. Pain means something to me. Pain is bad.
Mm.
Then I have to go to light. Then I have to go to, you know, whatever it is that I need to get out of. I, it's always I have to get out of something. But why do you have to? Like the point I'm making is why do you have to get out of anything? Who told you? Oh yeah.
Mhm.
That's the point I'm making here. And like again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go towards the light. What I'm saying is it are you going towards the lightness or the freedomness because of your I'm afraid of what this other thing will bring me, or is it a genuine
For
intention?
me, for me, there's a pull towards it that I can't describe. I don't feel like I'm running away from anything. I want to. I sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in the if I zoom out, I've never not faced anything that I needed to face. I will always turn around. I mean, timing wise, I'll do it on my own time. But we all go through tons of stuff and but for me, the growth, the knowledge, the 24/7 spiritual hustle, yes, sometimes it is a running away tactic, but also it's a pull towards something greater than myself.
I can understand that. I think the only point I'm making for it actually is that there are many ways to it. Meaning,
Mm.
what I'm saying is being with maybe the darkness, maybe it's something we don't like, maybe it's a pain, maybe it's something just uncomfortable, maybe it's something dull, for example, like where it's boring. People don't like boring as well. but it's boring. So right now it's boring. Why do we need to get immediately out of the boringness? You know,
Because
because
we're addicts.
in the grand scheme of things, I think yes, we're addicted to always feeling good.
Hmm.
I think I think people don't like to hear that one. Um, but it's a lot. I really traced it back to upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
and especially our generation's upbringing was there was a lot of you can't almost feel anything bad. You need to feel good. You know, something happens, you hit your hand, you hit your leg, you hit your etc.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
Come,
okay.
it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
a lot of it comes there.
If I can maybe share a little bit of a story about this, about how so one time I was going through a breakup. It was right at the beginning of a breakup. And all I could do was lay on the couch. Like I would go to work, pretend I'm happy, everything's fine. And then I would come home and lay on the couch. I didn't eat, I didn't do anything. And I did that for about like I want to say like 3 weeks. Like it was a long time. And
But
I just laid on the couch. And then one day I was like, I didn't talk to anyone, like none of my friends. They'd try and reach out. Nope. I'm in my Scorpio hole
privacy.
and I'm in the desert in a cave that I dug for myself. And if you poke into my cave, I will sting you. Um, so I went in, so I was in there and, a day after day after day, it was the same thing. And then one day I was like, I kind of was like, okay, what am I feeling? And I just kept asking myself that question, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Because I wasn't sure. I had no idea. I just knew that all I could do was lay on the couch. And so, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? And then one day it was like shame. And I was like, wait, what? This is shame? This is what shame feels like? And so finally putting that like word or whatever to the actual feeling I was feeling. Oh, breath of fresh air. No more shame. It left immediately. And then I was like, okay, I can hang out with my friends again. And I was just back to like my normal self. And well, if whatever normal is, my non beating myself up self, let's say, constant for 3 weeks, 24/7. It was a relief.
I think it's an exceptional story. I think it's so important, and it really shows us and it shows humans that it doesn't have to be super special sometimes. It can really be simple. But getting to that point to understand that I'm experiencing shame and this is one of the reasons why I can't, move, or maybe it's something else, I can do a business or whatever. That is the sometimes the tricky part. And maybe you need to lay, on your couch for 3 weeks at times. At times you do. That is life. I've been there, done that. It wasn't fun, but it kind of, looking back at it now, I was like, huh, I was sad, but I was like, you know, watching some TV
So,
shows and
yeah, and distraction for so long. And then once you realize, like, I think once you realize how to label it and how to like move on, or when it gets faster, right? Like, I think over time. And it's not always that you have to go deeply into it. Sometimes you just have to recognize it and then it's like whew, gone.
sometimes it is. I just had a similar experience, but I just can't remember what I was experiencing, so I can't share the story. I was like, huh, I just had it, and it was like really similar. Not with the breakup, but it was with the fiance. It's a little bit different, but it was something to do with work, and I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but it was like similar. It wasn't shame, but I think it was like failure. I think it was failure, and I was like,
Oh.
oh my god, failure! Oh, I'm a failure, da da da, etc. etc. Running away from it, and I wasn't kind of like understanding. And once I was like, oh, so I'm running away from being or feeling like a failure. Then I was like, huh, there it is, sweet liberation, sweet,
Boom.
sweet freedom.
Another hit.
God, awesome.
That's
I
true.
needed that one.
That is very cool, Ian. Um, I think a lot of people can relate to that one actually feeling like a failure. But really labeling that and going and accepting it. I feel like I'm a failure, or I feel like I'm going to fail, or I feel ashamed, or I feel this.
It's really scary to admit to yourself.
It's scary. It's so scary. And I ask people this question all the time. It's like, well, what's the worst thing about it? Like if you don't, okay, so a friend of mine, he's like, I have this need to help people, like incessant need. I'll stay whatever, like forever cleaning someone's house or, cleaning up after whatever, or I'll go out of my way, even if there's something else I want to do, I'll do the thing to help the person. It's like, and so I'm like, okay, well, like what happens if you don't? Ooh, like immediately, what?
Mm,
Scary. Like, don't. And this person in particular couldn't get past that part. And so the
mm,
conversation just kind of moved on and it was like, whatever. Some people aren't ready to fully go, well, no one will love me.
exactly. That's the thing.
And yeah, it's like, yeah. So the upbringing though, that's I think the key, where to look.
Where to look? This is, I think, a really big part for people. Like this is like the pleaser, pattern, especially like what am I getting out of it? If I'm getting, sometimes the first answer can be something like, oh, then they will help me, or then they will appreciate me, or something like that. Okay, so what does it mean to me if they appreciate me? So, oh, okay, so that means I'm accepted in society. Their friend. Okay, okay, very good. But what does it mean if you're a friend of theirs? And then it starts to again. It always goes back to, oh, okay, so then I'm loved. If I have a lot of
Hmm.
friends, I'm loved. If I'm accepted in society, I'm loved. And that is such a big core need for us
Hmm.
that it also
But
turns
it's
into a
like,
fear.
but it's like this too shall pass. You get that hit of I'm loved, and then you're just looking for that next one,
Hmm.
of that
That's an
next one until
addict.
you actually fucking deal with it.
Exactly. Because
Ooh,
that's how extremes get born. That's how, like your friend, probably if that person doesn't deal with it, soon they will be overworked. Health will start to, evaporate. Maybe they will
Mhm.
just like find themselves in the middle of the night or at somebody's place, and there's just like cleaning or helping them, and their life is going to shits, and this is how things get really, really out of hand if you don't deal with these things.
Are you psychic? Because that's exactly what's happening.
This part I will just put down as experience or
Hmm.
knowledge
I
or
think
wisdom.
the overworked and the spread too thin and the their own things that they actually want falling to the gutters is the biggest symptom of that.
That's the first step, and then they will usually get the first warning or something. Bad happens, and if they don't still stop, again goes. Something bigger happens again, transformative event, and then usually it's the health that really gives some the c word or something really bad. Unfortunately, I've seen it happen so much. I've seen it
Mm.
documented. I've seen it, even like spiritual people share it openly and stuff like that. it's it's just like the same freaking thing happens all over again, constantly, constantly.
So one thing that it's been a topic of discussion in the household and the friend group has been about seeking the light. And so I asked the question of what how do you know something is light? How do you know something is actually for the future? How do you know something is like really good? How do you know that? What's your barometer? And it's the answer was that it'll never lie to you. Like these things, like let's say, oh, I won't be loved or whatever. These are lies. They're not truthful. The truth is you're loved no matter what. You're perfect no matter what. You are here on this planet as this beautiful being experiencing life, and that's enough. Don't get me wrong. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm the eternal
Oh,
optimist,
yeah,
but
definitely.
Ian, it doesn't mean doesn't mean I haven't gone doesn't mean I'm not really in reality.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. To
I feel like
me,
I'm getting poked for like not being in like not being real. I'm fucking ooh, I'm real. I'm real. I'm not I don't obviously, but like if we don't hold a vision or an energy for something different, something good in the unknown, the light, let's
yeah.
say, where are we going? We're
Uh,
just sitting in
But,
the same place.
but this is the thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't hold that vision. I'm not saying
Oh,
that
I
at
thought
all.
you were. I
I'm
was getting
constant.
frustrated
That
actually.
I understand.
I was like, ah, hear
Because you're
me.
because I think that's one of the reasons we like this show. Even like, one of the reasons why it exists is because you're in the light, and I think I'm maybe in the dark in a way. But like it's not a dark place that it's like a bad place. But I understand, and I think you understand it as well. Like both are necessary. Because if, let's say, you hold that vision, but something happens in your friend group, for yourself, your life, sometimes you need to use other things than to just hold this vision of the light, in my mind. Because I've seen people only, grip just like light, 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 nothing here, and that's where the problem happens
Okay.
encompassing all of these things, understanding, yes, I have this vision, I hold it, but right now, maybe I need to go here and deal with this, and I'm back here. Or maybe,
Yeah.
I weave
I
and
think the
both, and
key is
then,
that
yeah.
you never let go of that. Just
Exactly.
because you have it doesn't mean that you have to like forget it if
Exactly.
if something bad
No,
happens.
no.
Like you always hold that light, that thought of the future, that good soul essence of God, creator, whatever.
Yeah. And for me, it's like if that exists and if you have that vision, it doesn't mean that you have to deny everything else or be with the blindfolds or on, basically is my
Hmm.
point. But that vision obviously should be there, otherwise you will not have anything to grasp towards or go towards.
Well, life seems pretty bleak, I think, without it.
So that's okay. For it to be
The
bleak a
thought
little.
in my head was like, damn it, like atheists are gonna be pretty pissed when they realize that there's actually something on the other side.
Yeah, I think maybe we arrived at a pretty like diplomatic place. I think
I think so.
because I hope people out there understand that this isn't the point I'm making. I just maybe reiterate one more time is to have that vision, but not deny anything else, and not even to try and deny or disregard anything else. Everything else is there anyway, constantly. Everything else is happening. And we need to understand, we need to learn, we need to sometimes be with it. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean we should let go of that light or should let go of that higher vision.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, to see everything. See everything
Exactly.
for what it really is and the deepest truth. That's how I want to view it, anyways. Maybe, and but like the thing also is like this is where we're at right now, right? You and I were here in our knowledge and our consciousness and our whatever. But I also allow myself to expand that. And maybe even in 2 days, I'll be like, what the hell was I saying 2 days ago? Like that, I totally understand this in a way different way in the future. So, like, yeah, that's all.
It will change.
Yeah, we all evolve, we all change, and I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty that we can sit and have this conversation, and like, that's just then people are gonna listen to this, and it's like, here we are talking about it.
I'm
You
glad you.
good?
I'm glad you admitted you were getting frustrated.
Yeah. Well, I was like, you're not. Yeah. It's not even that I wanted you to agree with me. I just was like, I felt a little misunderstood in like,
Mhm.
yes, I am for the positivity. That doesn't mean that I'm not also in the darkness at times. This is just what I talk about. And I
I
think
understand.
that's one of the things that I've learned actually from the TikTok stuff of like these little 30-second videos and seeing people's comments on it and like, oh, you're this or you're that over from 20 seconds of seeing something. Are you kidding me? That's like the tiniest little pinhole window into actually who someone is. Like, we are so dynamic. Who I show up on here as whoever is totally different than all kinds of different things. But I do my best to be my authentic self. And that's that. Ready?
Ready, ready, set. Ready,
Ready,
set, weekly
set,
review.
forecast the week. Okay, so Sunday the 7th of August is approximate, was the word coming through, approximate. So really interesting because it's like I think a lot of people maybe it's gonna be a little bit of finding that bullseye, sort of. Okay, where am I off my path? Where am I on my path? Where am I kind of there and where am I needing improvement is sort of Sunday's ponder. Um, any thoughts on that or
Uh, Actually, I think you covered it very well.
okay, I won't ask, just jump in, okay?
Hmm.
Okay, Monday the 8th is Gauge. Um, I think this is a reflective week is seems to be the vibe. Like a very like go in, reflect, gauge where you are, put yourself figuring it out, and just because you do it once doesn't mean you keep yourself there. Like, but gauge where you are. Have you learned everything that you wanted to learn? Have you read all the books that you wanted to read? Why didn't you read the book? Is there some kind of thing you're avoiding? Let's just be honest here and actually be honest with where you are. Engage that.
Nicholas Cage. Okay, okay.
Nicholas, gauge yourself.
Nicholas Cage yourself to the brink of spiritual hustling or something.
Spiritual hustle, yeah. Tuesday, I really liked the 9th was rules. What rules do you have for yourself? Do you have rules for yourself? Why do you have rules for yourself? What are they? How can you break them without, obviously don't abandon yourself and your values and your things, but have you made a rule for yourself? Like, I can't go to the grocery store. I'm not allowed because then I'll pick up on everybody's negative energy. Well,
That
really?
that grocery store stuff is really that must have come from some forum or
Oh
something.
yeah. Yeah. No, not a forum, but like a thing that gets talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Or it could be anywhere. Go into a spiritual store, go into a whatever. It's like some people don't leave their house. Why?
Hmm.
Wednesday, very interesting. Nocturnal.
Hmm.
I have a feeling that people are going to have a trouble sleeping. And very interesting because actually our friend here, Ian Altazar, has come out with a book to help you with that exact problemo if you have it. But there's also, I think, something to be learned here about the nocturnal animals and how, how do they operate without the sun? How do they, why? Well, what about them? Makes them different. I used to be a nocturnal animal. I freaking stayed up most nights till 3 a.m. Most nights, just up till 3 a.m. And I accepted it. I did. I wasn't like, oh, I have insomnia. Oh, I was like, yeah, I stay up till 3 a.m. and I'm good with that. And I
I,
functioned well, I thought. Well, maybe I didn't, but
I used to stay up at 9 a.m. until 9 a.m. Literally, not only nocturnal. I was a poker player as well, so that worked. But like, it was a weird time and weird life. Well,
yeah.
probably wouldn't recommend that for a really long time.
No, it's not. No, not for a long time. But like, I think just like don't make yourself wrong for the
Yeah,
things that are going on in your life. Like, if your body or whatever is keeping you up, like just start asking questions about that. It's like not about making yourself wrong or shaming yourself or putting yourself into this label or box of, oh, I have insomnia or oh, I have this or you diagnosing yourself. Like, just really go in and ask why. Maybe there's a spirit that's keeping you up. Maybe there's something actually energetic going on and you need this help or I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of thing that you need to be downloaded with and it's actually a really good thing.
that these are very good things. Like these are, I would say, more optimistic things. But one of the big things that also happens, maybe a more negative thing that people can look at, themselves, is literally if the life that they're living is, so against their grain, and like even the thought of waking up the next day is so bleak, and like the work I'm going to is bad. That's also can be one of the reasons. Like I'll stay up as long as possible, not to face the realities that I have to, or
Mhm.
tomorrow will bring,
Or the next day.
or the
Yeah,
next
because
day
this
will
is the
bring.
only time. I find that a lot with mothers.
Mm,
Mothers do that a lot. Once the kids go to bed, it's like, okay, now I'm up
it's
and
my
this is
time.
my time. Yeah. Yeah. Thursday the 11th is berries. Just makes me think of a health day.
Like eat
Bear,
berries.
eat berries.
Why does it have to be so complicated all the time? Go and have a
Fucking
berry.
eat your
It's
berries.
freaking summertime. It's
Freaking grab them.
it's it's berries. It's berry
Make
time.
sure they're edible. Don't fucking poison yourself.
Jesus Christ. What guidance we're giving here? It's like
It's
eat
so
berries.
strange. Like, you know what? Like every time I'm like berry. Like half the time I'm like, okay, sure. And
But
then
it's important
12,
to eat your berries. You know,
it is
it's good.
antioxidants.
Yeah, eat your
That's health.
freaking berries.
And I think that in the future, I think we're gonna have bigger technology actually to really figure out what's actually in stuff, like in food, that's good for our
Mm.
bodies. Like
Yeah.
I really feel like we don't have all the technology that can tell us, so just trust what your body wants and needs. Sometimes I'm like, I need seaweed stat. And I just seaweed for like 5 days and then I'm like, oh, no more seaweed. Okay. And then the 12th is the light. The light. The light. Seriously sit and ponder on that. seriously. And also the dark. Sit and ponder on that because the two, I don't think I need to say anything else because I feel like these things, these are very personal discoveries to me, like in my own life and consciousness and awareness. So I could never possibly ever even share some of the stuff that
Mm.
I have seen and felt while focusing on these things. I'm sure you've had like beyond probably similar experiences.
I think so. Mostly yes, like I love to say, but like one of the like I think, and I will like a little bit. It will sound like a challenge to you, but I think one of the also reasons like we get these things or we understand we ponder these things is to in the end, and maybe it comes in 10 years, maybe five. What I don't know the time frame always, but in the end to find ways to share them in some shape or form, some words for others as well. Hopefully, I raise my hands up. I don't know exactly what you've seen all the time. Everything that you've experienced and seen. But that's. I think I came to that understanding during some portion of my going deep and understanding, and it's a lot about getting these big experiences and in the end making them as simple as possible in the earthly realm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. And
There it is.
I think people have to have their own curiosities. And that's I think where this is like do your own homework.
Do your own being
Do
with
your own
life and light and darkness and everything.
yeah. And then maybe there's a discussion there. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, and then the 13th is really cool. Okay, I was like, okay, initiate and initiate. It was like I've heard it in my head both ways. Initiate and initiate. And I was like, wow, because it's one word, but you can switch it either way. I think this
Those are
week is
big
going to
words.
be,
These are big
yeah,
words.
I think we got some ponderers that are listening that need to be pondering because and meditating on these things because well, I don't want to say like meditate on it. Like obviously, when I meditate, I just close my eyes and then all of a sudden it's a circus, but it's like but it's
That's
like
wild.
yeah, I mean I wish I could share what I see with people. It's so cool, but
But
it
is there a reason why you can't? Like, what's the? Is there like let's say you're not allowed, or let's say the guidance is you can see it, but you can't. Maybe this
I I feel
not ready
I
or
feel like I would be doing a disservice to the things I see because I can't
mm,
describe it. There's no,
interesting. That is interesting. That is new. Okay. Could you draw it?
no.
Jesus
I
Christ.
cannot draw. I tried when I was younger. I would try to draw stuff and like I would have something in my head and it would not go on the paper at all.
Jeez.
Like not
That
even
is
close.
interesting. Recorded
It's like
audio? No.
no. I
Mm.
mean, I guess maybe I could try, but it's like
These are new things, it seems. Big things. Not understandable yet things.
and it's like even it's like with dreams and stuff too. Like I try and tell people about my dreams and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, this happened and this happened and this happened." And then it's like but it does the energy just doesn't always come through for it. And
Okay.
people will be like, "Oh, okay, like so you dreamed about this." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then it's like Okay, they think it's just the thing that I'm saying, but it's not. Like, I don't know. So I've just kind of, I don't want to say I've given up on it, but it's like if someone's going to understand, they're just going to, and I'll just share that in the moment.
I hope you will find a way. I really do. Sounds
Maybe,
sounds
well,
interesting.
maybe it'll be in my book that I will write one day when I decide to write it. Maybe.
Mm,
But initiate on Saturday. Initiate and initiate.
awesome.
They're big
So,
words.
these are big words. Yeah. Guys, so astrologically, like, I will sound like a broken record, to be honest. This full moon that is happening this during this week that we're covering right now, I made this face again, like the the Michael Scott, like the Michael Scott meme. I love that meme. But like it's looking really heavy, and one of the reasons it's looking really heavy is the full moon itself is already a quite a energetic event, but this full moon is happening in conjunction with Saturn. So, and it's an applying conjunction as well. So Saturn is a lot to do with the heaviness, the fears, blockages. But in this case, because we're talking about a full moon, we're talking a lot about also emotions and feelings as well. And when it's happening in conjunction with Saturn, like the negative side, unfortunately, is fears. So literally, it's just being afraid of, because it's an Aquarius, the future, the what is happening in our society, being afraid of all of these things. I do see also people being agitated, protests. Worst case scenario, let's say riots, but let's keep it at protests, hopefully. And because people's emotions, feelings are agitated, lots of the T square is coming in from Taurus. A lot of material foundations have been disturbed, problems in those areas, and that will create obviously protests regarding those matters, and people will go on the streets to start giving their opinions
And
on.
what? Oh, excuse me. So, what day is this that the
Well,
moon's happening?
let's put it into the 12th of August. Depending a little bit where you are as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like these types of, if you're, let's say, 2 days before, usually, especially when we're talking about like a Saturnian, start to come in a little bit. You start to experience it, and yeah, if you feel those fears coming in, you know the place to go here is emotional maturity, and to, because remember, Saturn is mastery as well. It's not only blockages and problems and stuff like that, but it is mastery as well. So it's a mastery of our emotions, feelings, obviously. And Mars is with a T square, making it even more difficult, unfortunately, because Mars agitates these two together here in Aquarius. So the emotional mastery here becomes a little bit harder. So I do see emotional agitation, being afraid of our society, our systems that are maybe not functioning as well, our governments not doing amazingly well, I would say, here with this full moon as well. So what can I say? To lighten the mood a little bit. Like, this is an opportunity of emotional mastery, and literally seeing and being okay with these fears. Like, okay, so yeah, times are tough, but how can we build something for the future? And yes, Aquarius here, a full moon still gives results. Full moons are a lot about getting results in the material realms as well. So it can give some results regarding your dreams, goals, social, economic goals in life. With friendship circles as well. This is, I think, one of the also weird areas because it's so agitated by Mars and Saturn. It can be like even with the friendship groups, with the social circles, in online groups, things are going to be a little bit heavy. Things are going to be a little bit tough. People are going to be agitated. Remember that when people are coming at you. When I saw this, actually, I felt like, oh my god, I just need a blanket and maybe sleep for a couple of days because this sounds like it doesn't look that good, guys. So do your best to go emotional master. Go emotional master with this full moon, but it will be difficult.
Easy.
God damn, Michael Scott.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all, like we were talking about with Pam, it's like the mountain has no top. We just keep on going.
I think that's a good. I think that's a really good way of giving this full moon some words. Like the mountain has no top. It's just maybe there's a fire there with this. Gosh darn it! Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
don't shoot the messenger, guys.
Yeah. Don't worry, Ian, you're safe.
I actually looked at, let's say, the next lunation of the new moon. It's looking a little better. It's looking a little better, but it has a square from Mars, exact square from Mars. So you know you can't
Hey,
you can't almost like envision these things, but like it's been quite difficult.
well, it's kind of coming full circle to what we first started talking about with prophecy, right? It's like we know the moon is there. We know it has the opportunity to be painful. We don't know what these painful things might be, but we know that we can accept them when they come because they're going to come. Whether it's with this full moon in particular or 3 days before, 3 days after, 10 years from now, like it's going to, it's all on your own timeline and what you need to focus on for your life.
Well said. I think that's a I think that's a better way of ending it than just like my. It's like again. But it's a wild thing to see so many just constantly difficult lunations, and I literally I've observed a lot of lunations. There aren't you know usually there's something. There's something good. There's maybe a trine here, sextile. At least something happening with these like conjunctions and squares and oppositions. It's like ah. But this is how it is, guys. This is how
Well,
it
I
is.
think the universe is creating very strong people right now.
Yes, it is. That is a freaking truth right there, and we can grow through this together, guys.
We got
And
it.
individually as well, obviously.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, everyone, we hope that you have enjoyed this episode. It had a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs, and I think this is the first time I've actually gotten like real frustrated, like yeah. But hey, I mean, we got to show up as ourselves, and hey,
I
and
think
we
it's a
hope.
good thing, actually, that you get frustrated. I think that's important. Why not
I'll
be
have to
frustrated?
I'll have to listen to it again. I always forget what happens in the episodes, and then I'm like, oh yeah. But yeah. So do your best, meditate, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.